They're talking about the cost of living crisis, child poverty, homelessness, antisocial behaviour, mental health and qualified young people unable to get jobs. They're also talking about Reform UK surging in the polls. Across Europe, centre-left governments are wrestling with migration, energy insecurity and populist movements. In North America, progressives face fractured trust and institutional fatigue. Meanwhile, climate change is accelerating inequality worldwide, but there is hope. Progressives don't always lose. They're in power in Australia and Canada and here in the UK. And today they're not here to just argue, but to trade notes. The Centre for American Progress, Labour Together and IPPR have convened leaders from 5 continents attempting to answer questions around AI and governance, migration, national security, the economy and democracy itself. Without further ado, welcome to the stage Johan Hassel from Global Progress Action Mission, Matt Upton from Labour Together and Harry Quilter-Pinner from IPPR.
Thank you, Alita. So I'm Matt from Labour Together. I'm really proud to be hosting today with our friends at IPPR and the Centre for American Progress. I definitely recognise a few faces from yesterday. We started off in King's Cross. And anybody who heard me give my introductory remarks yesterday will know I'm quite a big fan of King's Cross. It's the biggest, or one of the biggest, urban regeneration projects in Europe, an area, for those who know it, completely transformed from what it was, and now sits at the heart of something called the Knowledge Quarter, which has institutions like the British Library, where we hosted yesterday, some of the best universities in the world, but also alongside that, cutting-edge organisations working on science, technology, medical research, and so on and so forth. And I think the whole King's Cross development is such a great sign of Britain, the kind of confidence of Britain looking ahead to the future, and a sign that Britain can actually get things done. And then today, obviously a very, very different vibe, as Alita touched upon. We're in somewhere much more historic today, not just Central Hall, but obviously Westminster itself, the home, the symbol of parliamentary democracy, going back hundreds and hundreds of years. And for me, it was really, really important for people that travelled so far to come to the conference and come and see London and the UK, that we're able to show you those two sides of the country, the future, where we're heading, but also the historic past that makes Britain such a great place to be. Now, I think that analogy of past and future and history and future actually works quite well as well when thinking about the challenges facing progressives. Now, we all know, I know for my country, and I know it's the same from some of the conversations yesterday for your countries, that so many people are losing faith in the idea that the future can bring something better for them and for their families. The idea that the future increasingly is something to be feared rather than something to be embraced. And equally, some of the historical discussions and arguments that we thought were just settled way in the past are now we're having to fight for them all over again. The idea that democratic countries, the idea that democratic institutions can actually deliver what people need in today's world. And I think that is the challenge that we face as progressives. Do we have the answers to those questions? And I mean, sometimes I think we can lack confidence in this. I don't mean reacting to what populists are saying. I mean, do we have the answers? Are we on the front foot? Can we show that this is where the excitement, the energy is around some of the big debates in policy and in politics? Now, yesterday, from the conversations that I had, I think we showed that is the case. Today, when you look at the exceptional lineup that we've got, I think we'll prove it again. But I will hand over to Johan to say a little bit more about the conference.
Thank you, Matt. Friends, leaders, fellow progressives, during the most consequential political moment of our time, the Global Progress Action Summit brings together centre-left leaders to discuss the world's most pressing challenges to advance a new progressive policy agenda. The Global Progress Summit demonstrates a unity of purpose and the urgency for actions that progressives, governments, leaders and changemakers share. As the largest gathering of progressive leaders in the world, the Global Action Summit creates connections, ideas and outcomes to drive a global agenda for the future. This year's themes, Governing for Working People, is set in an age of insecurity where global progressives need to find a moment to unite, to meet today's challenges, to deliver bold policies that deliver security, prosperity and democracy for all. We are a global progressive movement, which are strong, confident, and we are forward-looking. And here in London, we are setting out the direction for the future. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for your leadership. And over to Matt and Harry.
Hi, everyone. So Matt has welcomed you all to London, and Johan's told you about the history and the heritage of the Global Progress Summit. So it falls to me to tell you a bit about what we're expecting here today and the programme that we've built for you. So the context today is really clear. A quarter of the way through this century, everyone, everywhere, seemingly all at once, wants out of the status quo. And the question is, what do we move into? What's the new consensus? And so far, the populist right is leading that argument, both at the ballot box, where we see that in recent decades, nearly half the population are either voting for populist parties or they're not voting at all. And both of those groups are basically rejecting the status quo. But also in the battle of ideas, particularly in the last few years, what we've seen is the terms of the debate being dominated and set by the populist right. Whether it's on what the state is for and who it should be governed in the interests of, who gets to be a citizen and what the rights and responsibilities of citizens are, or how nations should relate to global markets and to other nations. This means that progressives need to renew. We need to be able to come up with better answers to the big questions that voters are putting to us and be able to solve the daily challenges that people face. And today's programme has been built to try and showcase some of the energy and the ideas and the dynamism that we see across the world where progressives are in power. Without new ideas, we risk either reaching back for old ones and trying to repeat the past, and that will not work in this new future, or trying to imitate our opponents, which only boosts their brand and heightens the divisions they flourish on. So in this context, the most valuable resource is imagination, is new ideas, is being bold and confident and making distinctly progressive arguments about what the world needs now and why we have the answers to the challenges people face. And so I hope what you'll see on stage here today is a host of leaders and thinkers and activists who are making those arguments, who are doing the hard work. And I hope that you'll be part of a conversation that helps define what comes next. Before I step away, you're going to see a host of amazing stars on stage here today. But the real stars are those that have managed to put this conference on. And they're backstage, downstairs right now, making sure that we're all here and that we're able to have this conversation. So I want to say thank you to all of the teams from CAP, from IPPR and Labour Together who've made this happen. And in particular, they won't be here to hear me say this because they're all busy, but Jess, Aleri, Ollie, Rhiannon and Ali have done an amazing job in making this happen, so they're the real stars of the show here today. Thank you all, and I hope you have a great day, and I'm going to hand back over to Alita.
Welcome again, everyone. Now we're moving on to our next session on the AI dilemma. AI, of course, is not just about technology or the revolutionaries around it. It's about power, democracy, and whether people can trust that progress won't leave them behind. So on our panel today, we have Alexandra Geese, member of the European Parliament, who helped shape the EU's landmark Digital Services Act. We have also got Farida Bedway, a Ghanaian entrepreneur and disability advocate, whose fintech innovations have brought digital banking to thousands. We also have Emma Lopez Araujo, Spain's Federal Secretary for Economic Policy and Digital Transformation, leading efforts to embed AI in industrial strategy. We also have Tim Wu, a Columbia law professor. He's visiting Oxford, and he's a former White House advisor and the thinker who coined net neutrality. And guiding the conversation, we have Megan Shahi from the Center for American Progress. Over to you, Megan.
Good morning. Can folks hear me? Yeah. Awesome. Well, I hope everyone is sufficiently caffeinated and ready for this conversation. I get the great honor of kicking off our public programming for the day, so thank you all for being here. The session title is The AI Dilemma, Governing for a Digital Future. And I think we're at a really pivotal moment in society as progressives, and really at the intersection of democracy and a choice on choosing democracy going forward for our future, and the advent of technology, particularly with the way generative AI and AI has really come onto the scene and blown up in a very big way. And so today I'm honored to be guiding this conversation. I'm surrounded on all sides by the real experts who I'll introduce in a minute. But the big question we're really seeking to answer here is, how do we govern AI as progressives in a way that protects people, strengthens the economy, and simultaneously prevents and mitigates the far-right authoritarian regime and the risks to the way we really see AI thriving in the future, and how to manage those risks and also simultaneously manage the opportunities, of which there are many. So with that, I will introduce our panelists, and we'll get things started. So to my right, we have MEP Alexandra Giza, hailing from Germany. Ms. Giza is a leading digital policymaker within the European Greens, who played a key role in developing the EU's Digital Services Act, or DSA. She sits on the Industry, Budget, Internal Market, and Women's Rights Committees in the European Parliament, and is a prominent voice on international and social issues. To her right is Farida Bedwi. Ms. Bedwi is a leading tech entrepreneur who co-founded Logicel Limited and pioneered the development of GCoody, a cloud-based banking platform now widely used by microfinance institutions across Ghana. She's on the board of Ghana's National Communications Authority, previously worked as a principal software engineer at Microsoft, and is currently a platform product consultant at Digital Opportunity Trust, where she's part of the team building and managing digital systems that support innovation and youth engagement across Africa. To my left, we have Emma Lopez. Ms. Lopez is the Spanish Federal Secretary for Economic and Digital Transformation